Hey. How y'all doing today? I am Tequila Coleman, best-selling author, certified life coach, and founder of GodOrdainedMarriages.com. Today we are talking about how to respond to disappointment. I have a lot to share. I wanted to go live and just talk about, the proper way we are to respond to disappointments. Okay. So come on in as you are tuning in. Let me know where you are tuning in from. If this is your first time catching me live, welcome. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and also turn on the notification by clicking the little bell right below this video. Now, before we jump into today's teaching on how to respond to disappointment, I do have a few announcements. Okay. So over at GodOrdainedMarriages.com, you can see it at the bottom, scrolling right here at the bottom of the video. But over at GodOrdainedMarriages.com, we have opened up our coaching. Okay. So we offer coaching for God ordained spouses who are currently praying for your God ordained prodigal spouse, and you are believing God to restore this love story. We offer one-on-one coaching sessions for God ordained spouses who are looking for more understanding in this process. Maybe for you want to learn how to deal with the counterfeits. How do you heal from the betrayal or the rejection? You may have experience while praying and standing in this love story. You may even want to know what are some of the things you should be doing during this waiting process, right? Maybe God have you and your God ordained prodigal spouse in this divine separation. So what are some things you should be doing during this time? And so if any of these things is something you are interested in learning more about, I want you to head over to GodOrdainedMarriages.com and click on the tab that says coaching. Okay. And you can book your session with me from over there. We also offer coaching for standers, those who are standing for marriage restoration. So if you are a stander and you want to know how do you rebuild trust back into your marriage? You want to know how to deal with the other woman, how to get control of your emotion, how to partner with God in restoring your marriage. You just want to know what our goals into this partnership, right? How do I rebuild my marriage foundation, right? And also, if you want to know, and this is also for God ordained spouses, if you want to learn, what are my roles and responsibility as a helpmeet? This is what I'm teaching in our one-on-one sessions. Okay. So for my standards, you can also go over to GodOrdainedMarriages.com, click on the coaching tab, and you can book your one-on-one session with me from over there. Okay. So again, today we're talking about how to respond to disappointment. I wanted to talk about this because, we got all of this talks of divine replacements coming up, right? All these videos, people talking about God is sending a replacement. God changed his mind. The devil is a lie. Okay. Okay. I'm just going to be honest. The devil is a lie. God is not a man that he should lie or change his mind. Okay. If God, reveals to you who your God ordained spouse is, that's exactly who it is. Stand on it, believe it. Okay. And become unshakable in this process. All right. That's right. And so I wanted to talk about how to respond to disappointment because again, when we talk about these divine replacement, it speaks if God has told you this is your God ordained spouse, but now you are considering, a replacement somewhere in this process, your heart is broken, you're probably feeling some rejection. You're probably a little disappointed, right? Because maybe things are not moving according to your timetable. And so I wanted to do this teaching on how to respond to disappointment because when you begin to understand that disappointment is a door God uses, right? To get you to that fulfillment that you're believing God for, right? Disappointment, disappointment isn't designed to stay a disappointment, right? No, disappointment is designed, it's a door, you have to go through it in order to get to the promise, in order to get to that fulfillment, right? So I'm gonna break all this down. I was doing a study in the Bible, I just wanted to know, You know, like some of the people in the Bible, how did they respond to disappointment? And immediately when I got this word, right, because God, the way he talked to me, he'd just give me one word. So immediately when I heard the word disappointment, he just began to just bring up certain people from the Bible. And I knew what God was telling me. He wanted me to read it, you know, and get what he was trying to, you know, the message he's trying to convey to me. And so that's exactly what I was doing. So we're going to take a look at Samuel, Lazarus, and Tabitha. Okay. And we can learn a few things on how, you know, they responded to disappointment. Okay. So again, if this is your first time tuning in, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like this video, and say hello. Okay. So I see Kylie, she is here. Thank you for joining us today. So let's start off with the definition for disappointment. Disappointment means sadness or displeasure caused by the non-fulfillment of one's hope or expectation. Now, you're going to see me constantly looking this way because my children are outside across the street. So I got to continue to keep my eyes so I know why I'm teaching, okay? But disappointment is sadness or displeasure caused by the non-fulfillment of one's hope or expectation, right? Disappointment also means a person, event, or thing that causes disappointment, right? Some of the synonyms for the word disappointment are sadness, regret, distress, depression, displeasure, letdown, setback, blow, disaster, dissatisfaction, right? So whenever we are dealing with disappointment, we tend to feel these things, right? We tend to feel regret, right? We feel like, you know, whoever we are disappointed in, they let us down, right? Depression can set in, you know, or sadness, right? These things begin to sit in, you know, when we are disappointment, right? And for some of us, right, whenever you're dealing with a disappointment, it can be a blow to your ego, okay? So but understand that there's an appointed time. God is going to turn your disappointment into happiness. Okay. Understand that there's an appointed time. There's a time for everything. Okay. There's a time where you will be disappointed, and there's a time where God is going to turn that disappointment into happiness and joy. Okay. This is why you should not give up in the midst of disappointment. You want to begin to look at every disappointment, look at every sadness, look at every depression, look at every regret, look at every situation that, or every person that let you down, and say, what is God doing? Okay, I'm not going to give up here. I'm not going to allow this disappointment to cause me to stop here. I'm going to press through. I'm going to break through, because I understand disappointment is a door that God is using to get me through to my promise, or get me through to this fulfillment, right? Or to get me through to my destiny. Okay. So you cannot give up in the face of disappointment. Now, here's the thing. God is going to fix the disappointment, but before he fixes your disappointment, he's first going to fix it in you before he fixes it for you. That's another revelation I want you all to understand. Whatever you're disappointed about, okay? You're disappointed that it's taking your God ordained spouse a long time, you know, to reach out to you or to return back to you, right? Understand what God is doing in this process, okay? Before God sends your God ordained prodigal spouse back to you, or before God gives your God ordained prodigal spouse the green light to call you, he's doing something new in you first, okay? Maybe that something new is taking you through a healing process where now you are forgiving, okay, people from your past, so that when God opened up that door, or when he gives your God ordained prodigal spouse the green light to contact you, you're not bleeding on him, right? You're not going off on him, right? You know, this is why God would tell us while we are standing and praying to heal, right? Because he doesn't want us, you know, to sabotage the promise, right? When he, you know, began to bring it together. So before God fixed the disappointment, first he's going to fix it in you before he fix it for you. Okay. God always starts with us first before, you know, he bring us into the outcome. Okay. When disappointment happens in your life, understand that God is going to first deal with you, like how he dealt with Samuel. So let's take a look at the book of Samuel. Let's take a look at Samuel when he was upset. He was disappointed that God rejected Saul as king, right? Now, you know, God is very straightforward. He's straight to the point. God is a purposeful God, okay? And so while Samuel was over here mourning over Saul, being rejected as king, God went to him in 1 Samuel chapter 16. The Lord said to Samuel, he said, how long will you mourn for Saul? He's like, how long you gonna mourn for him? Okay, since I have rejected him as king over Israel, right? He's like, how long you gonna continue in this depression? How long you gonna continue to, feel sad, be upset, stay in the bed, right? Refuse to do any work? How long? Right? And this question lets us know whenever you are in the midst of the not depression, whenever you are in the midst of disappointment, there's a time limit. Okay. Yes, there is a time for you to feel disappointed, but then you have to ask yourself, how long am I going to mourn over this? How long would I continue to feel disappointed? How long would I continue to allow these people to let me down? How long would I stay in this depression? Right? You got to give it a time period. Okay. You can't just sit there and allow this disappointment to turn into years of disappointment. No. You have to put a time period on it, okay? I had a little moment earlier this morning, right? Dropped the kids off at work. Dropped the kids off at summer school today. And when I got back home, I was feeling, I had just got disappointed over something, right? And, okay, man, I could go to the extreme. And so I went to the Lord about it. I said, you know what? I said, I'm not even about to give into this. I'm not about to give this disappointment any more of my energy because I didn't like how it was making me feel. And I took it to God in prayer and I began to, just press into God. Like, come on, God, come on. I need you to show up today. And that's exactly what God did. He showed up today, right? So now that disappointment now has been turned into joy, okay? So you have to give this disappointment a time period. Okay. Hey, Crystal, thanks for listening while you are driving. Thanks for joining us today. But yes, disappointment has a time period. Okay. Now, why he keep riding his bike over here? Okay. So understand, and when we talk about disappointment, because like I said, Samuel was upset that God rejected Saul as king, right? And so rejection, it does hurt. Rejection, it's like a blow to your self-esteem, right? A blow to your self-worth. It lets you down, right? When you are rejected, it will cause you to move into this depression, the sadness, but understand rejection is redirecting you to something better, okay? So disappointment is connected to that rejection. When I look at both of these words, it is moving me, right? Disappointment is moving me. Okay. I got to move through that disappointment. I might have to move through this rejection, but it's all getting me to that desired destination. Okay. It's getting me to the promise, this fulfillment. So I can't stay disappointed. I can't stay, feeling rejected. Because if you stay in rejection, now you got the victim mentality, right? Now you're wallowing in self-pity, right? You're just stagnant, not making any progress. So I got to continue to push through, okay? Hey, Lakia, thanks for joining us today. So understand, disappointment, the first way how we respond to disappointment, you got to ask yourself, how long am I going to mourn over this? How long will I continue to allow myself to be disappointed over this? It happened. It's done. Now it's time for us to just, get up, get out of that bed, shake it off, okay, and start back moving, right? That's what the Lord told Samuel. He said, fill your horn with oil and be on your way. I am sending you to Jesse. I have chosen one of his sons to be a king. And so God was telling Samuel, he's like, while you sitting over here mourning over Saul and how I rejected him, I already chosen another one, right? And this is how we must respond to disappointment, by understanding God is already in Okay, he has already surpassed this disappointment, right? He doesn't want us to continue to stay here in this disappointment, right? He wants us to continue to move through it because God is already in the future. He is already in the promise. He is already in that fulfillment, right? He's like, come on, I already chosen someone. Why are you still here? Okay. So first thing, y'all, it's so much stuff going on out here. This is ridiculous. 1 second. Hey, Joy. Yes. Come here. 1 second. We got to do a commercial break. Okay. All right. It's crazy. It's some stuff going on over here, y'all. Okay. My kids across the street playing, cops pulling up. I don't know what's going on. Okay. So first way, like I said, the first step is you have to put a time period, okay, a time limit on how long you're gonna mourn and stay in this space of disappointment, okay? So you want to get up, put on some clothes, get back to work, okay? Understand and know that God has already decided the outcome, okay? He has already decided the outcome of your life, of this particular situation. He's already decided it, okay? He's already promised it. And here's something, this don't have anything to do with this, but what I need all of my God ordained spouses to understand and know, also to my standard, if God has promised you that he's going to restore your marriage, if God has promised you or told you this is your God ordained spouse, right? And he's going to, do this, whatever God promised you, you have to understand and know what God is saying. The victory is already yours. It's no need for us to move into find a replacement. Victory is already yours. Nothing is impossible with God, okay? So that have to be the final say so. God said it, he's going to do it, okay? God already promised it to me. It's mine. Begin to claim it. Victory is mine. This promise is mine. Begin to align your words with what God is saying concerning the situation. Don't listen to that enemy. Listen to what God is saying, okay? I just felt that down in my spirit for someone today. The second way how we respond to disappointment is by let's take a look at the death of Lazarus, okay? Because I had got a lot of good notes from the death of Lazarus. You okay? Y'all okay?
Yeah, I'm just scared because
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah, because she was being mean.
Okay. All right. Y'all going back outside?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's take a look at the death of Lazarus. Let's turn to the book of John, chapter 11. This was so good. Listen, I hope you have your pen and paper out because this right here is about to bless your whole life, okay? So the death of Lazarus, right? Now I'm gonna skip over, okay? If you haven't read the story, I highly recommend you go to the book of John, chapter 11, begin to read it, okay? But I'm gonna just skip over some parts, okay? Now Lazarus was sick, okay? Now I love looking up definition for words because that's another way how the Lord speaks to me and give me like full revelation, like full understanding of certain situations. Now, sick means affected by physical or mental illness. Sick also means not oneself. For some of you, your God ordained prodigal spouse is not himself or herself. Hey, Royalty, thanks for joining us, right? Your God ordained prodigal spouse or even your prodigal husband, he's not himself, okay? So he is sick, right? So we're going to place your God ordained prodigal spouse or your prodigal husband in Lazarus' situation, okay? It said, the Bible said Lazarus was sick, okay? It goes on to say in verse 11, this is Jesus saying, he said, our friend, he's talking to his disciples. He said, our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I am going there to wake him up. I could just shout, I could just run, okay? Because you got to really understand what he is saying right here, okay? Our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I am going there to wake him up. I need y'all to understand that a waking up is happening, okay? God is going there to wake up your God-ordained prodigal spouse. God is going to wake up your prodigal husband. He is asleep right now. This is why he's acting a fool. This is why it seems like the devil has his hand on him, okay? This is why, you seeing all of this stuff, the lust of the flesh, the pride, okay? The counterfeits, because he is asleep right now. But awakening is coming. God is going to wake up your God-ordained prodigal spouse, okay? There's going to be an awakening. So I need you all to, matter of fact, type it in the comment section. Awakening is happening, okay? There's an awakening happening right now. So just like Jesus said, Lazarus has fallen asleep, but I am going there to wake him up. Who is going there to wake him up? And are we going there to wake up our God-ordained prodigal spouse? No, Jesus is going there to wake up our prodigal spouses. And how do Jesus go there to wake up our prodigal spouses? He go there with our prayer. This is why you have to pray, okay? This is why we are praying, right? Because God uses our prayers, okay, as the very thing, to wake up our God-ordained spouses, okay? So you can't just pray. It's not enough just to pray one time. You got to continue to pray. Continue to pray, okay, until God tells you to stop, okay? So Jesus is going to be the one who's going to wake up your God-ordained prodigal spouse, your God-ordained, your prodigal husband, okay? Understand that. Now listen. It goes on to say in verse 14, because his disciples, they just wasn't understanding what Jesus was saying. So Jesus was like, look, Lazarus is dead. He just had to be blunt with him. He said, Lazarus is dead, okay? He said, and for your sake, I am glad I was not there so that you may believe. Here's why disappointment happens, okay? For some of you, disappointments happen so that God can begin to show out in your life, right? Disappointments are happening so that, you can begin to see the hand of God move in your life so that you can believe again, okay? Understand, when I first said at the beginning of this live, disappointment is a door, okay? Excuse me, when disappointment happens, it's never meant to stay a disappointment. God is going to turn that disappointment into happiness and joy, okay? He's going to turn it around. He's going to flip the script, okay? And he allows this disappointment to take place because of you, because he wants you to believe again. God allows the disappointment to take place because he wants to reveal himself to you. He wants to show you, okay, that he is the God of the impossible. He can take a prodigal spouse from Saul to Paul, right? He wants to show out, okay? So let him show out, right? I see y'all, your questions and comments. I'm going to get to it towards the end. Keep posting. So understand that part, okay? Now, let's see. Okay, so I'm gonna skip around. So let's read some of this, okay? Because this was just so good. So starting at verse 17, it say, on his arrival, Jesus found that Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days, okay? Skip it down to verse 21. Martha, she was like, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But I know that even now, God will give you whatever you ask, right? So it kind of sounds like Martha was kind of blaming Jesus. She's like, if you was here, this would have never happened, right? And so Jesus said, your brother will rise again. Understand, when you are in the midst of disappointment, that you don't want to come into agreement with that disappointment. You got to be very mindful of your words, okay? Jesus said back to her, he said, your brother will rise again. He's speaking to the situation. You have to speak to that disappointment. You will not stay a disappointment. There will be a change in this situation. You got to speak to it, okay? Don't come into agreement with what this disappointment trying to get you to believe, because it's not going to stay a disappointment, okay? Begin to decree and declare out of your mouth, there's a change. There's a turning around, okay? God is behind the scene. He's working behind the scene in my favor. Okay, so Jesus said, your brother will rise again. Martha answered, I know he will rise again in the resurrection at the last day. She wasn't getting it, right? So in verse 25, Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. Listen, this stuff be blessing me. I could just take off running. He's telling her, okay, I am the resurrection. Jesus is who raises the dead, okay? This situation is nothing to Jesus, okay? This is what he's telling her. I am the resurrection, okay? Your brother will rise again. He's trying to encourage her and build her faith, okay? So understand and know that your God ordained prodigal spouse or a prodigal husband, he may appear dead. He may be behaving in ways where you're like, this isn't my person. He's not himself. This man is sick, right? Understand there's an awakening coming, okay? As you continue to pray, God is going to use your prayers to wake him up. He will rise again, okay? This disappointment will turn into joy. It will turn into happiness. Understand that, okay? Now, let's get down to, I'm skipping over my notes. Let's get down to the strategies, okay? How did you respond to disappointment? Here it is right here. When you go down to John chapter 11, verse 38, listen to this. This is how you respond to this disappointment, okay? When everything looked dead, okay? When everything looked dead, when it just seemed like, God can't do it, it just seemed like everything is just over for you. Check this out. In verse 38, it says, Jesus, once more deeply moved, came to the tomb. It was a cave with a stone laid across the entrance. Take away the stone, he said. So Jesus told them, take away the stone. I need you to take away the stone, okay? Take away the blame. Take away the guilt. Stop telling yourself, if only I would have did this, if only I would have said that, if only this, right? Stop regretting, whatever happened. Take away the stone, okay? Take it away. This is what Jesus was telling her. He take away the stone, okay? Because the stone, it was laid across the cave, right? So even if Jesus would have raised him up, he couldn't get out of the cave because the stone is blocking it, right? It's on him. So we got to take away that stone, okay? Stop feeling guilty. Stop blaming yourself. Stop, whatever you're doing, just stop it. Take away that stone, right? It goes on to say, but Lord, said Martha, the sister of the dead man, by this time there is a bad odor, for he has been there 4 days. And let me tell you something, because when disappointment happened, we began to blame, we began to, overthink, come up with all these things of how you could have responded better, right? All of these things began to produce a bad odor, right? It can make you appear negative. It could, make other people not really want to be around you. You can appear unpleasant to other people, right? This is an odor, okay? So this is why, Jesus take away the stone, okay? Because it's producing this odor, right? Verse 40. It says, then Jesus said, did I not tell you that if you believe, you will see the glory of God? So in verse 41, it says, so they took away the stone. Then Jesus looked up and said, Father, I thank you that you have heard me. Let me slow down. So in that disappointment, you want to begin to thank God for that turnaround. Okay. That's your time. Even when it haven't even turned the situation, you want to just move into thanksgiving. Okay. Thank you, Father, that you are turning this situation around for my good. Thank you, Father, that, this disappointment, you're working out everything through this disappointment. Thank you, that you're doing a new thing in this situation. Just start thanking him. Okay. Before it even happened. It said, Jesus said, I knew that you always hear me, but I said this for the benefit of the people standing here, that they may believe that you sent me. verse 43. When he had said this, Jesus called in a loud voice, Lazarus, come out. The dead man came out. The dead man came out, his hands and feet wrapped with stripes of linen and a cloth around his face. Jesus said to them, take off the grave clothes and let him go. The Lord been speaking to me about clothes all the last week. And I'm going to come back on here and we're going to do a whole live on clothes, okay? But understand what Jesus said. Take off the grave clothes and let him go. Take off that old identity. Take off, okay? You got to take off the grave clothes. Take off, let go of what happened in the past, okay? Begin to walk out in your new identity, okay? Let go of that old mindset and thought patterns, okay? Let go of unhealthy habits, right? Because when you have been disappointed, right? And depression sets in, we tend to overeat, right? We tend to, find unhealthy ways to soothe our emotions, right? And so God is saying, take off the grave clothes. Stop, let go of these unhealthy habits, okay? That's no longer serving you, right? Jesus just raised Lazarus from the dead. This is a new thing, right? So in this new thing, the old can't go. I've been speaking to y'all about this all last week. The old cannot go into this new thing. We got to take off the grave clothes. We got to let the past go in order to step into our future, right? We got to let go of these old thoughts, this old way of thinking, this old way of behaving, right? And begin to step into what God is doing right now, okay? So take off the grave clothes. Now, the last thing, let's take a look at Tabitha, okay? Because this is important as well when we talk about how do you respond to disappointment. So over in the book of Acts, chapter 9, verse 40. Let me find it right quick. Verse 40. Okay, so in Acts chapter 9, verse 40, where it's talking about Tabitha, right? So Tabitha, she was always doing good, helping the poor, and then she became sick and died, right? She became sick and died, right? And so they placed her body in the upstairs room. Yeah. One second, yeah. Okay. So they placed her body in the upstairs room, right? So Peter, he went there to see about Tabitha, right? Now, it's saying in verse 39, Peter went with them, and when he arrived, he was taken upstairs to the room. All the widows stood around him crying and showing him the robes and other clothing that Dorcas, that's another name they refer to Tabitha as, that Dorcas had made while she was still with them. So they reminded Peter of the past, right? They're like, oh, look at all of these things she used to, make, etc., etc. Verse 40, Peter sent them all out of the room. Okay. Sometimes when you're going through a disappointment, you got to begin to send people out. You got to begin to let go of people who keep reminding you of this disappointment. Okay. If they can't seem to stop, reminding you of what happened in the past, who did what, sometimes you just got to let these individuals go. Right. And we see this take place right here with Peter. He sent them all out of the room. Then he got down on his knees and prayed. Turning towards the dead woman, he said, Tabitha, get up. She opened her eyes and seeing Peter, she sat up. Okay. Listen. I know I said a lot in this live, but listen, the way how you respond to disappointment is by understanding that this disappointment will not stay a disappointment, okay? God is already, he's already on the other side, okay? He has already raised it up. He has already did a new thing. He already turned it around, okay? You can't stay there, right? So when disappointment happens, you got to ask yourself, how long would I continue to sit here and be disappointed over this situation? How long? right? How long I'm gonna sit here and continue to, mourn over this, regret this, wallow in this? How long? Because the choice is up to you. Because God He's already in the future. He already turned it around. He's just waiting on you to get there. Okay. Another thing, understand, when we talk about this disappointment, there's going to be, like I keep saying it, there's a turning around, right? There's a raising up. God is going to do a new thing in this disappointment. Okay. So this is why we can't just stay here. This is why you can't just stay focused on like now or what is happening or the disappointment. No, pick up your mat, keep going. Allow God to continue to lead you through this disappointment. Okay. Because on the other side of this disappointment, it's joy, it's happiness, it's the promise, it's destiny. Okay. Understand that, right? And sometimes you gotta like how I was saying in Lazarus, in the book, in the story of Lazarus, they had to take off the stone. Okay. Sometimes you got to stop beating yourself up over what happened and just say, you know what, that's in the past. I forgive it. I let it go. God has already forgiven me. I'm moving forward, right? Stop beating yourself up. Stop, saying to yourself, if I would have only did this, or if I would have responded this way, listen, whatever. Okay. When God opened that door, that's when you show up as that new person. That's when whatever it is you're saying, I should have responded this way. That's when you respond that way. Okay. So don't just stay there. And then take off the grave clothes. Okay. Because when God raised up this story, when God turned this disappointment around, listen, the old you cannot walk into this new thing God is doing. Okay. So when we talk about taking off these grave clothes, this is take off that old identity. Let go of the past. Let go of the old way of thinking. Let go of old ways, behaviors, how you used to show up in the past. God, it says, see, I am doing a new thing. Okay. You got to step into this new thing and know how to respond, okay, differently from the past. All right. And just like how we read in the book of Acts about Tabitha, if you're surrounded by people who keep reminding you of this disappointment, you're gonna have to send them out. You're gonna have to tell them, like, listen, okay, I'm working on me right now. Okay, I'm gonna be taking some time away, focus on me. Okay, you can't be around them. You can't be around people who keep reminding you of the past, who keep reminding you of all the people who have done you wrong, or even people who doubt what God is telling you about your God ordained, promise. Okay, you can't be around these individuals right now. Okay, because they will keep you in this state of disappointment, self-pity, wanting to give up, trying to find a replacement. Okay. The devil is a lie. We're not over here finding no replacement. We standing for what God promised us. Okay. So that is it. We're gonna go ahead and open up for Q&A. Also, before I read this comment right here, don't forget, I said at the beginning of this live, over at godordainedmarriages.com, we have opened up our one-on-one sessions, okay, for God ordained spouses and for standards who are currently standing for marriage restoration. Okay, so if you want to know how to partner with God in this process, how to rebuild your marriage on, biblical foundation, if you want to understand your role and responsibility as a helpmeet, okay, these are the things that I'm teaching you in our one-on-one session. If you were betrayed by your God-ordained spouse and you want to learn, well, how do I begin to trust him again or her again? Sign up for a one-on-one session, okay, and we can talk about it. All right. Hey Tequila, I've been looking at your YouTube videos and you gave me so much courage. Oh, great. So I'm a single mom now for 5 months. The father of my child left me when he was 7 months old. Now he blocked me everywhere. He doesn't send the money that we agreed when we left. It is like on Monday Monday is my son's first birthday and he didn't send all the money, even this special month. Now we live in separate countries and I need to file for child support and custody. However, I'm unable to do that. Okay. All right. So for those of you who do not know, So, because I know we have a lot of new subscribers to the channel. So for those of you who do not know, before God placed me over here in the God ordained marriages, I used to mentor. I used to coach and mentor single mothers around, just how to deal with their baby's father, and how to raise your children on your own. Okay, so this is a question she is asking me. I'm going to answer your question today. However, going forward, because I'm no longer in the single mother, I'm no longer teaching, and coaching in that community. So if you have those type of questions, I prefer for you to email me. Email me at tequilacoleman@gmail.com, and I will answer your question from over there. Okay. But I'll answer yours here. Birthday. Okay. All right. So I had to reread it again. So if your child's father blocked you on, everywhere, then he's not ready. That's basically what he's communicating. He's not ready to be a father. He's not ready to communicate. He might be emotionally unavailable right now. So what I would recommend, because you said you need to file for child support and custody. However, you are unable to do that. So I'm not sure of the reason why you're not able to do that. But when that door opens, I do highly recommend you do file for child support. And if you choose to pursue the custody, then do that as well. Or like I meant to say, like the parenting time, with him, those are some of the things you want to think about. But I'm all for child support because I do believe in holding fathers accountable. Okay, this is the only way you have to. This is how you deal with these particular type of fathers. You got to hold them accountable. Okay, because if you try to work out verbal agreements with them, they're going to just keep turning, have you going in circles. Okay, you don't have time for that. So hold him accountable through the friend of the court. And now I'm reminded of what the Lord told me at the beginning of this month, this year, y'all. For those of you who've been following me, you know what I'm being reminded of. Because the Lord, he had got on me about giving that advice. Go to the Lord concerning your this particular situation, okay? Because the Lord, he was talking to me about the friend of the court, that system, and he wanted me to give the advice to direct single mothers to him first versus the friend of the court. So do exactly do what I just recommended. Go to the Lord, regarding the situation. But I don't believe in chasing anyone around. If he blocked you, then hey, look at that as rejection, which also means God is redirecting you somewhere else. Okay. So he's just not ready to be a father. So I would just pray, in the meantime, over the situation, give it over to the Lord and keep moving forward. Okay. So what is it?
They have something dangerous in their hand. And I don't know what it is. They won't tell me.
Okay. Go tell Dejure.
Huh?
Go tell Dejure.
Dejure what?
What you just told me. Okay, so if you all have a question before we wrap up, drop them in the comment section, because my children, they are here with all their friends and I think they need me. Yeah, I think they need me in a minute. But yeah, this is how we respond to disappointment. This is how we respond to disappointment. Okay. We're gonna go ahead and wrap this up because I gotta tend to these children. So listen, again, coaching is open. Head over to GodOrdainedMarriages.com to book a one-on-one session with myself. If you want to go deeper in this process, learning, how to partner with God and, just bringing this love story all around, full circle. So that is it. We will come back again tomorrow. Okay. Everyone have a great afternoon, and I'll talk to you all real soon. All right. Take care.